What if everything you've been taught about what women truly desire is wrong, and the very things you're doing to attract her are actually pushing her away? That uncomfortable tightness in your chest right now is the feeling of finally facing the truth. I'm speaking to you as a mentor who has studied the science of human attraction for years. There are biological and psychological truths about female desire that most men are never told. Society, media, and even well-meaning friends have fed you dangerous myths that are quietly destroying your relationships and self-worth. Today, I'm revealing what the actual science says about how female desire really works and what most men get completely wrong. The first massive mistake men make is believing that female desire is primarily driven by looks, money, or status. Science tells a very different story. While those things can open doors, they don't create lasting desire. Research in evolutionary psychology and attachment theory shows that what truly activates female desire is a specific combination of emotional safety and emotional excitement. This creates an internal conflict most men never understand. A woman can find you physically attractive, but if she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you, her desire will remain dormant. Conversely, if she feels safe, but there's no excitement or masculine polarity, she may love you as a person, but feel no romantic spark. This delicate balance is the key to female desire that almost no one talks about openly. Let me reveal the first scientific truth they never taught you in school. Female desire is highly responsive. Unlike male desire, which tends to be more spontaneous, a woman's desire usually responds to context, behavior, and emotional connection. This is backed by extensive research from sexologists like Emily Nagoski and relationship psychologists like John Gottman. Her body and mind are constantly scanning. Am I safe? Do I feel desired? Is this man emotionally stable enough for me to let go? This is why so many men are confused. They do all the right surface things, they text regularly, they're nice, they pay for dates, yet she slowly loses interest. The science is clear: niceness without strength creates comfort, but comfort alone does not create desire. She needs to feel your masculine presence, your emotional steadiness, and your ability to lead without controlling. The second major thing men get wrong is believing that female desire is mostly about romance and flowers. While romance has its place, the deeper science shows that female desire is heavily influenced by perceived mate value and emotional tension. When a woman feels that you are a high-value man who has options and self-respect, her desire naturally increases. When she senses that you are overly dependent on her approval, her desire begins to fade. This is brutally hard for many men to hear. You've been conditioned to believe that the more you show her how much you want her, the more she'll want you back. The science says the opposite. Female desire thrives in the presence of confident independence. The moment she senses you need her to feel worthy, something in her nervous system begins to pull away. I know this truth creates unease in many of you. Some of you are thinking about that one woman right now, the one who went cold even though you did everything right. You felt confused. You felt rejected. You questioned your worth as a man. That pain is real, and it's far more common than anyone admits. Here's another scientific insight that changes everything. Studies using brain imaging show that female arousal is closely linked to feelings of psychological safety and adventure at the same time. Her brain needs to feel both, I'm safe with this man, and this man makes me feel alive. Most men only provide one or the other. They're either too safe and predictable or too chaotic and unreliable. The man who masters both becomes magnetically desirable. This explains why women sometimes leave good men for men who seem less qualified on paper. It's not that she's broken. It's that the nice guy failed to create the emotional polarity her nervous system craves, while the other man accidentally created the right mixture of safety and excitement. Understanding this science should bring both relief and frustration. Relief because it means there's a logical system at work. Frustration because you've likely been doing the exact opposite of what actually creates female desire for years. The women listening to this are probably feeling seen right now. Many of you have tried to explain to men what you need, only to be told you're too complicated or emotional. The truth is, your desire system is complex because it has to be. Throughout history, choosing the wrong partner could be life-threatening. Your nervous system is designed to be selective. For both men and women watching, this knowledge is powerful, but it comes with responsibility. Understanding female desire isn't about manipulation. It's about becoming a better partner and a more self-aware human being. It's about stopping the cycle of confusion, rejection, and resentment that destroys so many relationships. We've only begun to scratch the surface of what the science actually says. In the next part, I'm going to reveal the specific things men do that kill female desire instantly, and the exact psychological triggers that actually turn it on. The truths I'm sharing with you are rarely discussed openly because they challenge everything our culture teaches about attraction. But if you're tired of feeling lost in your relationships, this is the knowledge that can finally set you free. Let's go deeper into the actual science of female desire and expose the mistakes that are quietly killing attraction in so many relationships. What most men get wrong is believing that desire is a logical choice. It isn't. Female desire is largely subconscious. It operates on ancient biological and psychological systems that have very little to do with the romantic ideals we've been sold. One of the most important scientific discoveries in relationship psychology is the critical role of emotional safety. Dr. Sue Johnson's work on attachment theory shows that a woman's desire is heavily influenced by whether she feels emotionally safe with a man. This doesn't mean she wants a weak man. It means she needs to trust that you can handle her emotions without becoming overwhelmed or withdrawing. This is where most men fail completely. When a woman shares her feelings, stresses, or vulnerabilities, the average man either tries to fix it immediately or gets defensive. Both responses destroy desire. The science is clear. What actually activates her desire in these moments is your ability to stay present, calm, and emotionally strong. Not to solve her problems, but to hold space for her emotions. This explains why so many women say they love their partner but feel nothing anymore. The emotional safety required for desire has been lost. She may still care about you, but her body has stopped responding because her nervous system no longer trusts you with her heart. Another massive mistake men make is killing tension through over-communication and constant availability. Modern dating advice tells men to always be honest, always text back quickly, and always show exactly how they feel. The science of desire says this often backfires. Female desire requires a certain amount of uncertainty and emotional tension. When everything is predictable and overly safe, her nervous system registers it as boredom. This is not about playing games. It's about understanding basic human psychology. Research on dopamine and reward circuits in the brain shows that uncertainty actually heightens desire. When a woman can predict exactly what you'll do, say, and how you'll respond at all times, her brain stops producing the chemicals that create attraction. This truth hurts because it challenges everything nice guys have been taught. You thought being always available and completely honest about your feelings was the loving thing to do. In many cases, it was the very behavior that slowly turned off her desire. The man who understands this creates healthy space, maintains his own life and purpose, and doesn't make her the center of his emotional world. The third critical error is the complete misunderstanding of polarity. Scientific studies on attraction consistently show that female desire is heightened by the contrast between masculine and feminine energy. This doesn't mean acting like a caveman. It means embodying calm strength, decisiveness, and emotional leadership while allowing her to feel fully in her feminine energy. Most men today have been shamed out of their natural masculine expression. They've been taught that strength is toxic and that they should be soft and emotional at all times. While emotional intelligence is important, the science shows that women's desire systems still respond powerfully to masculine presence, not aggression, presence. When a man becomes hesitant, indecisive, and overly emotional in a way that makes him seem unstable, her desire begins to shut down. This isn't because she's shallow. It's because her biology is wired to seek a partner who makes her feel safe enough to surrender. If she has to carry the emotional burden for both of you, that surrender becomes impossible. I know these truths are uncomfortable, Many men listening are feeling a wave of regret right now, realizing they've been doing the exact opposite of what creates desire. Some of you are thinking about specific women from your past who suddenly lost interest, and now the pattern finally makes sense. That sting you feel is the price of awareness. The women watching this are likely experiencing their own complex emotions. Some of you feel validated. Others feel exposed. Many of you have felt guilty for losing desire for good men who did nothing obviously wrong. Understanding that this is biological and psychological, not personal, can be incredibly freeing. Here's another scientific insight that changes how you see everything. Female desire is cyclical. It is heavily influenced by hormonal shifts, stress levels, and emotional connection. A woman may desire her partner intensely one month and feel almost nothing the next. Men often take this personally and either withdraw or become resentful. The mature man understands this cycle and becomes a steady presence through all of it. The biggest lie men have been told is that female desire is fragile and random. The science shows it is actually quite predictable once you understand the patterns. When you provide emotional safety, maintain healthy polarity, create positive tension, and demonstrate consistent self-respect, her desire system responds naturally. But here's what makes this knowledge dangerous. Knowing these truths without doing the inner work will only make you more frustrated. You must actually become the kind of man whose presence activates these responses. That requires real personal growth, not just memorizing techniques. We still have 2 more powerful sections to cover. I'm going to reveal the specific behaviors that instantly kill female desire according to the research, and more importantly, the exact things you can do to awaken genuine desire in a healthy, respectful way. The path I'm showing you is not easy. It requires you to look at yourself honestly. But for those willing to walk it, the reward is relationships based on real mutual desire instead of confusion and resentment. But for those willing to walk it, the reward is relationships based on real mutual desire instead of confusion and resentment. Now let's expose the specific behaviors that silently destroy female desire, even when a woman genuinely likes you. The science is brutal but clear. The biggest killer of desire isn't fighting or lack of attraction. It's the slow erosion of polarity and mystery. The first deadly mistake is turning her into your emotional mother. When a man begins trauma dumping, complaining constantly, or seeking endless emotional validation from his partner, her desire almost always collapses. Research by Dr. Esther Pearl shows that desire requires a degree of otherness. When you make her responsible for your emotional state, she stops seeing you as a lover and starts seeing you as a child. This shift is often subconscious, but the effect is devastating. Many men do this without realizing it. You think you're being open and vulnerable. In reality, you're making her carry the emotional load for both of you. Her nervous system registers this as unsafe. She may still love you, but the erotic spark disappears. This explains why so many couples say, "I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore." The second scientific mistake men make is removing all tension through constant reassurance. The need to hear, "Do you still like me?" or "Are we okay?" kills desire faster than almost anything else. Female desire requires a balance between security and uncertainty. When you eliminate all uncertainty by over-communicating your feelings and seeking constant approval, her brain stops producing the dopamine and norepinephrine that fuel attraction. This is why the science shows that some mystery is essential. Not toxic game playing, but the healthy mystery that comes from having your own purpose, your own boundaries, and your own emotional stability. A man who is slightly unpredictable in a grounded way creates far more desire than a man who is completely transparent and needy. Another critical error is the loss of masculine leadership. Studies on attraction reveal that many women respond strongly to decisive, confident leadership in a partner. This doesn't mean being controlling. It means making decisions, planning dates, holding your ground, and not becoming passive in the relationship. When a man becomes overly agreeable and lets the woman lead everything, her respect and desire both begin to fade. I know these truths are painful to hear. Some of you are sitting there realizing you've been making these exact mistakes for years. You thought you were being a good partner. Instead, you were unknowingly turning off the very desire you wanted so desperately. That realization creates a heavy grief that many men feel when they finally understand female psychology. The women listening are experiencing their own wave of emotions. Many of you have felt guilty for losing desire for men who were kind and loyal. You couldn't explain why. Now you understand it was never about them not being enough. It was about the slow death of polarity and excitement in the relationship. Here's what the science says actually works. Female desire is deeply connected to feeling truly seen and desired by a man who is not desperate for her. When a woman feels that a man sees her, truly sees her, but also maintains his own center, her desire naturally awakens. This is why compliments that show deep observation work far better than generic flattery. Desire also responds powerfully to playfulness and adventure. The research on long-term relationships shows that couples who maintain a sense of play, novelty, and shared adventure sustain desire much longer than couples who fall into routine. This is because novelty triggers the same brain circuits that were active during the early stages of attraction. Another key scientific insight comes from anthropologist Helen Fisher. Her research shows that female desire is closely linked to perceived status and competence. When a man is respected in his domain and carries himself with quiet confidence, it activates deep biological responses in women. This isn't about being arrogant. It's about becoming genuinely competent and carrying that competence with humility. The painful pattern we see repeatedly is this. A man meets a woman. He becomes comfortable. He stops growing. He stops leading. He stops creating emotional tension. Her desire fades. He feels confused and rejected. The relationship slowly dies. This cycle is happening in millions of relationships right now. Understanding this science gives you a choice. You can continue the same behaviors that kill desire, or you can use this knowledge to become a man who naturally awakens it. But transformation requires honesty. You must look at where you've been needy, passive, or emotionally unstable and do the difficult work of changing it. The women watching should also take responsibility. While men need to understand how desire works, women must communicate their needs more clearly instead of expecting men to read their minds. Desire dies in silence and assumption. We are approaching the final truth in this journey. In the last section, I'm going to show you exactly what to do with this knowledge, how to rebuild desire in existing relationships, and how this understanding can completely transform the way you show up in love. This isn't just about getting a woman to desire you. This is about becoming the kind of man who naturally inspires desire through who he has become. The journey is difficult, but for those brave enough to face these truths, the reward is deeper, more authentic connections than most people will ever experience. The journey is difficult, but for those brave enough to face these truths, the reward is deeper, more authentic connections than most people will ever experience. So, what do you actually do with this knowledge? How do you apply the science of female desire in real life without turning it into manipulation or performance? The answer is simpler than most men want to hear. You must become a man who naturally generates desire through who he is, not through tactics. This begins with radical self-honesty. Look at your current relationships and ask yourself, am I creating emotional safety while maintaining strong masculine polarity? Am I living a life that I respect? Do I have my own purpose outside of her? The science is clear. Female desire responds to men who carry quiet confidence, emotional stability, and a sense of purpose. When you begin focusing on your own growth, your fitness, your career, your emotional regulation, your boundaries, something shifts in how women experience you. You stop chasing desire and start becoming desirable. For those already in relationships, the path to reawakening desire requires courage. You must have an honest conversation, not from a place of blame, but from ownership. Tell her you've come to understand that you've been missing key elements that keep desire alive. Take responsibility for becoming passive, needy, or emotionally unstable. Then show her through consistent action that you are committed to becoming the kind of man who can hold both safety and excitement in the relationship. This work is not easy. It will trigger every insecurity you have. There will be days when you want to retreat back into the familiar pattern of seeking her approval. But every time you choose growth over comfort, you rewire both your nervous system and hers. The women listening need to hear this too. Understanding what creates desire also gives you responsibility. Many women unknowingly punish the very behaviors that create attraction. When a man leads, you may call him controlling. When he maintains mystery, you may call him distant. The science works both ways. Healthy desire requires both partners to understand and respect how the other's nervous system actually functions. Here's the deepest truth I want you to take from this entire video. Female desire is not something you get from a woman. It is something that naturally arises when you become the kind of man who inspires it. The men who suffer the most are the ones who make a woman the source of their worth. The men who thrive are the ones who build their own worth and allow desire to be a beautiful byproduct of that foundation. This knowledge changes how you walk through the world. You stop seeing women as mysterious creatures who randomly give or withhold desire. You begin to understand the predictable psychological and biological patterns that influence attraction. And most importantly, you stop taking her changing desire levels as a reflection of your value as a man. The pain many of you have carried, feeling unattractive, unwanted, or confused, was never really about you not being enough. It was about not understanding the actual science behind how desire works. That pain ends today if you choose to apply what you've learned. For the older viewers in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, this message is especially urgent. Time is no longer on your side. Every year you continue repeating the same patterns is another year of potential connection lost. The science doesn't change with age, but the courage required to apply it often increases. The greatest gift this knowledge offers is freedom. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from resentment. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of trying to figure women out. When you understand the science of female desire, you finally stop guessing and start understanding. My final message to both men and women watching is this: desire dies in boredom, neediness, and emotional chaos. It lives in the sweet spot between safety and excitement, between familiarity and mystery, between strength and tenderness. Master that balance within yourself first, and you will naturally create it with others. Now I want to ask you a personal question. What is the biggest thing you've been getting wrong about female desire, and how did hearing this today make you feel? Be honest in the comments below. Your answer might help someone else feel less alone in their struggles. Write it out. If this video woke something up in you, if it made you feel seen, challenged, or hopeful, then do these 3 things right now. Give it a like so the algorithm can share this important message with more people who need it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell because we're going much deeper into male and female psychology in the coming videos. And share this video with one friend who you know is struggling in their love life or feels confused about what women really want. You now have knowledge that most people will never possess. The only question left is whether you will have the courage to use it. Thank you for watching. Now go become the kind of person who naturally inspires desire.